Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with what I sure hope is the 9th episode of House of Light, our first run through YouTube. So, lots of housekeeping this week. I'm going to keep this one short. I'm in the same circumstances that I was yesterday. I'm going to be doing some training at work, so there's almost no chance I'm going to be able to record more than one episode. I'm going to do my best to put on something that approximates a good show for you, but I think for the rest of the week I'm going to be recording each episode the night before, doing my best to get enough sleep, and I do apologize if there are missed episodes or if the quality isn't where it needs to be. I really do want to not to take this stuff for granted, but I am completely out of time. So let's see where we're at. I know it's not that long ago that I was working on these things, but I'm actually trying to remember what I was trying to accomplish tonight. So we do have Etery After, The Beekeeper's Ends, and The Rose of Hypatia. I think Rose of Hypatia was a high priority book because it gives me weaving and not working, and I thought... Hang on. I was under the impression that I had already... Actually, no, I guess I did have 3 more to catalog. Okay, apologies, I don't normally like cycling through that stuff. So, I think for the morning, we'll want to read the books that we can. We'll want to catalog the remaining books. Oh. Was it the wine cellar that we just opened? I hope so. Ricardo Milagro, traveler, rascal, Musgrave's gardener, managed a creditable wine from Brancrude grapes. Cornwall has never really been wine country, but the tradition was unevenly maintained. But the curia of the Isle kept a good cellar. So inside this room, we have got a bucket of seawater. Flecks of foam float on the surface. This is actually also a comfort. A plain stool, the most reliable object imaginable. How old is it? Roscragan Whiskey, the favorite tipple of Sir David Green, 8th librarian of Hush House, primarily Rose. We do have lost packages which I can open, so I'm going to pick those up. The label is smeared to an unreadable fog. 3 Dandelion Wine, 3 Lambic Broslende, 1 Domaine Reveline, and 1 Schloss Jannings. If I have a chance to move over any other wine. So I kind of like this setup. I guess we're good as far as the wine goes. Okay, so looks to me like I need to level up Bells and Brageries first. So with Bells and Brageries... Okay, let's take a minute to think about this. So definitely a priority to level this one up. If I want to try and get Rose of Hypatia... I know I've gone over this a couple of times, but... So, Edict's Liminal, so 2, 6... Theoretically, we have a memory that could be... Yeah. 7. Oh wait, yeah, no, if I somehow get a... If I somehow get the... Name Day riddle, I'm in better shape. Although we couldn't use Edict's Liminal to read this, and we couldn't use a Tryst to open this, so we still would need the 3rd floor of the Motley Tower. Okay, so again, any hope of getting this one we'll leave aside. Etery After, I think, was also a nice to have. Okay, yeah, so actually the more I look at this, the less likely I am to get these done. Let's just leave all of that aside, and let's focus on leveling up Bells and Brageries. So we'll need 3 either Forge or Sky memories, and we have a Storm, which is good, so we really just need 2 of those memories. We may get them from anybody who we hire. Or we can... Presumably we have at least 1 song to go with. Well, patterns will do the trick as well. Okay, I think I'm going to settle for a Confounding Parable and a sorry, confounding parable and a pattern in this case. So let's go Trist. Well, I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. From that, let's say we will... I think I can use the shaft in this case. So that was the confounding parable. Pattern now, let's... I guess... No, Prophecies of Glory is the wrong one. Advice on containment. Okay, so those are my basics for bells and braziers. I suppose the next step here would be to catalog. I'll use the shaft to level it up because if I catalog using the metal, then I don't need to worry about the curse. So catalog a baronial period book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's baronial period, roughly the 1500s to 1700s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. And then I guess the remaining question is, do I want to commit the Trist to cataloging the nocturnal period book? I guess I can do at least one. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's nocturnal period, after the turn of the century. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. From here, I'm just going to sit and see what the day brings. I still have a chance to bring in Denzel if I want. The clouds doesn't really affect anything here. I've carried a memory like flambeau through the mazes of night. So yeah, I mean, if I want, I can keep talking with Denzel to try and generate memories, but I guess the question is, to what end? Like, what exactly are these memories supposed to get me if I keep talking to him? I definitely think I need to start asking, like, what's my overall goal in terms of things to learn? Do I want to read more books? Do I want to try and Lockworks and Clockworks? We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need to work out a little bit of a strategy before I do more with the day. I guess one thing I can do is I can reach into this bag and find another vegetable. What am I looking for? Anything, really. Let's actually be a little smarter than that. Let's just feed the chicken grapes. Oop. Pleading Terrence. Cluck. Cluck? Oh, I want to talk to him. Sorry. Like I said, tired. It's been a long week. Okay, so the supply of eggs is coming back. We're already doing an order. Oh, that's right. I was going to try and put together a salon, wasn't I? I mean, that's got to happen now if that's going to happen at all. So let's actually take the time. I'm going to just bring up my tablet here. Okay, so we can host this in the Physic Garden. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need forge. Forge, scale, and lantern. So I guess as far as the forge is concerned, this is a pretty straightforward one, right? It's the Roscragen whiskey, so... Fraser's a little more difficult to please because he needs scale. I believe that's just Schloss Jannings that helps me here. So there's just a small hiccup in the sense that it's going to... Eventually we're going to run out of this so I don't want to rely on it too much, but for now... Okay, so Schloss Jennings for scale. And then lantern. I don't recall if Eigengrau does the trick, but I do know that the second flush Assam. I guess he's the designated driver. If we invite Douglas, I believe he is lantern as well. Okay, so then the question about this is, if I'm inviting this many people, I need to make sure that I have food for everyone as well. So I do have a little spreadsheet that I keep going, or I keep for the different recipes. So one challenge I see at the start would be lantern food is actually quite hard to get. So the best option I have here would be a stuffed golden marrow. So that actually gives me a reason to mess around with these I think I want to open up some of the sacks of vegetables. Okay. So let's say probably I'd want either the orange jumble or the golden marrow. Which would be either pudding, first course, main course. Now, because I've got two people with forge who I'll be inviting, that is quite convenient. Now, the jumble would also work with them, but we'll probably only have the one. So egg croquettes is also a possibility. Really what I want here is something simple. So like roast pheasant is an option that I have. Game chips is an option. I'm actually almost wondering here if I do something like I'm thinking here, maybe if I do like roast beef, then I take the dripping and I make game chips with that. That could be an option. So let's say, although game chips would be a side dish. Well, I guess I get another one. So, okay. So let's say beef, game chips. So now we would need a scale. What on earth am I doing here? Okay, forge, scale, lantern. That's 4. Oh, no. I got it. Okay. So that's main course. Side dish. Okay, so that accounts for everything. We need a first course, which would be, in this case, the stuffed golden marrow. Yeah, so stuffed golden marrow for first course, jumble for pudding, beef for main course, and game chips for a side dish. That would, of course, be assuming that we are adding Douglas Moore to the list. But now that I know what I want to do, we're actually going to order everything that we need for these ingredients. So we can definitely want potatoes. Actually, I can get potatoes out of the sack of vegetables. We don't need to worry about that. But for the jumble, I believe I need sugar. I had this somewhere. Is almond sugar? Yeah. We have spice and savors. Okay. So I definitely need some sugar. Honestly, we might as well do a full order here. Now, I am a little worried about how much time we're going to have, though. So it might also be an idea for me to maybe try and open the wrecked pantry. But yeah, in this case, let's do... sugar. I mean, if it's a big order, I might as well kind of do 3 of each, but I should also probably spend my time doing other things other than just these orders. Well, we're kind of waiting for stuff to happen, so I guess now is not a bad time. So, I don't quite like rushing the salons, but I will say one of the things I really like about this DLC is the process of actually figuring everything out and who I'm going to invite and what I'm going to cook and all of that. I actually find really charming. Okay, the Carmine Petal Revisited. Is this the too hard pile? I'm making it the too hard pile. Yeah, we're losing control. And Perugian Diaries, this is a good one for me to read. So in addition to the fact that I get a new skill, this gives me a kind of an equivalent to Solace. However, oh no, hang on, Bells and Brazieri saves me on this. So Bells and Brazieri's in the Astrolabe. I should probably also do something with the sweet bones. It is summer. I am sitting on the bench outside the sweet bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. Okay, so we've got 3 sugar. Honestly, 3 sugar, 3 milk, 3 flour, 3 potatoes. It's going to take me a while to put together, but I think, ooh, a ham may be a good thing to order as well. Yeah, so it's these 5 seconds are going to add up, but I'd rather be sort of well prepared for a salon rather than rush it. So the milk isn't quite as necessary, but again, sometimes it's enough to just have something in reserve. I am going to have trouble finding space for all of this. This is one reason the pantry would be really helpful to open up, but oops. The Locksmith's Dream, Portions and Proportions, the second volume of Teresa Galmier's examination of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. The frontispiece has been slashed with a razor. In this volume, Galmier records fewer dreams and explicates more on her own elaborate theories. We see this again and again. What is below can't escape what is above. The finest artisans all dream of the white door in the end. I'm no artisan, only a scholar. I think there's a secret that all these artisans know, but I think that secret is only half the story. The moth, the grail, and the egg unhatching all tell different stories of the world's beginning. One of those stories is the oldest, but it may not be the first. And advice on containment. Thyrza Blake discusses ways to keep wood things out of trouble and mantis things in it. Thyrza is irritatingly light on specifics, insisting above all that the duties of an adept are the duties of a host, and that a conjured spirit should be kept in as luxurious a vessel as possible. Thyrza notes the similarities between the lantern-long habit of scrying, returning to the physical world, despite their absence of a body by entering a mirror or light, and Pomander's techniques for confining Mantis Long to mirrors. She wonders whether Pomander himself might be lured to visit Hush House if provided with a sufficiently alluring scrying. So this would be the time to improve bells and braziers at the shop. Another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Improve this skill to level 4. So I definitely have bigger plans for bells and braziers. I guess the real question here is going to be, how long do I want to hold off on like ransacking these for marrows? I probably don't want to wait that long for that. We have plenty of time in the day though. What is that ordering again? Okay, sugar, flour, milk. Potatoes. Actually, I am going to get another sack of vegetables. Gather in summer, carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of open a sack of vegetables. If it's not the marrow that I want, then we can feed that to a chicken for another egg. That'll help things from getting too out of hand. Like I said, takes a while. A full belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. Okay. So I need to wait on the consider verb, but I have some ideas. All right. Butter. I think the sugar's already taken care of, so... yeah, so butter, some ham, and then we're good. I realize this is riveting material to watch somebody fill out forms all day, but it's in the name of something wonderful. I think I've said this on the stream, but one of the things that's nice, and I think this is something that it's not just good games. I mean, my usual experience with this has been with books, but it doesn't really matter where it comes from. It's more that you have the chance to experience it. But there's definitely some things that I have engaged with which have really allowed me to appreciate something that, you know, people get obsessed about, or I've been able to sort of see the world in a new way, or I've been sort of inspired to try something that maybe I wouldn't have looked at twice. So one sort of drawback with my background, like there's a certain point, the statute of limitations in terms of my background has expired in terms of using this as an excuse, but I definitely, like growing up, had to sort of rely on, you know, either making dinner for myself or like reheating something, lots of sort of TV dinners or equivalents. And, you know, it's fine, you do your best with what you have. But I've always, like, either when I was definitely looking to save money, I always sort of worked at some kind of a cafe or something like that. So there'd usually be sandwiches or whatever for me to mooch to, you know, to keep the costs down. And so I've never really, like, cooking is, if anything, a necessity for me, and I don't do it that often. And I sort of appreciate that people really like things like fine dining, and I appreciate that some people think cooking is utterly fascinating, but I've never quite gotten to that point where it becomes this magic that people are describing. And this game sort of finally got me to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'd kind of like to maybe get a bit better in the kitchen. Now, this was also kind of growing through something else as well. I think I'm actually going to bring back the shaft for this one. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. So I knew what book to look for ahead of time, so I'm not going to try and suggest that this comes completely out of the blue. But I did pick up Harold McGee's On Food and Cooking, which is a big nerdy... So if it's not really a cookbook, but if like the book you're getting on cooking has like a 2-column format, you have really jumped in with both feet. But it's fascinating stuff, right? It's nerdy enough that I sort of find this stuff interesting. And again, like, why did I pick it up this time around, right? What changed? Why, when I probably could have benefited from, maybe eating in a little bit more, or otherwise preparing my own meals, certainly would have been healthier. Like, why is it now that I'm doing this thing? And part of it, I will confess, is the fact that the process of sort of putting together, finding the right combination of people and ingredients, and also this process of sort of discovering new recipes is actually quite fun in this game. And again, if you think of this framing, I kind of talk frequently about sort of one thing about the game being nice is how there's this ordering of information, right? You get your memories and you get your lessons, and then you get your skills, and you need to level up your skills in a certain way. And those skills are not the final destination. Those skills actually have a role in sort of shaping a worldview that's present in the Tree of Wisdoms. It's obviously an oversimplification, but I think it's not a bad way of sort of looking at this game and why I find it so interesting. So this idea here that cooking is sort of already presented in this package, right? It's another form of knowledge, and to a certain extent, I mean, it's almost like Tetris, right? You're just trying to put the block in the right thing. In the right space. It's there's lots of different ways you can go to it. But to me, I finally, because I have a few coworkers who are quite into cooking. Akron Mare. I was really excited for a second, and then I saw that it wasn't a golden beauty. All right, I think we can have a glass of water. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. But yeah, just being able to sort of relate. It's funny, right? Like, I require this occult wrapper around the idea of something that basically any adult should take for granted and not make a big deal about. But again, it's one of these things that I really appreciate about games, books, some movies. You get a glimpse at a world that maybe you don't always get a chance to look at, or maybe you don't always spend the right amount of time looking at. And in this case here, I've been able to sort of appreciate something that I otherwise wouldn't normally have looked at. And I mean, let's be real. I'm going to be a complete menace in the kitchen for the next little while, and I am enjoying the book more for its, entertainment in terms of reading rather than actually applying the lessons. But I think it's put me down a useful path. Okay, complete the order. So again, I don't really know how to feel about my chances here. The postmistress signs and seals the order and places it in the place that stamped orders are properly placed. Wait 3 days, she commands. But we'll do our best with what we've got. Oops. All right, let's sort this out again. Now, as for the rest of the day, it's really just a matter of cycling through the elements of the soul that I can get. I think I more or less gave up on trying to open up any of these regions for today, at least. But I'm also not going to feel bad about that. The question is, do I want to use the metal to open up the lost packages, or do I want to save it and see what else I can do? Cataloging the Nocturnal Period book wouldn't be a bad option either. Because we know we're going to read the Perugian Diaries tomorrow. In fact, if I can... Yeah, I could actually read this for... Hey! Unwrap, unbox, unleash. It's a little late in the day, but you know what? I think I'm going to take this metal and I'm going to read the Perugian Diaries. So I can master this mystery, enough sky to match mystery sky. Although I'm doing that right at the end of the episode. I'll see if I can make a little more time. Okay, so we've got our TRN order form. TRN selects its clients carefully, one might say eccentrically. They rarely advertise, but in their long history, they have never lacked for custom. So, plums. Add bread and use a knife for plum croutons, or an egg and use mixing bowls for a prune whip. So that prune whip is actually one I have not made yet. Where on earth am I going to keep all of this? Okay, you know what? All hands on deck. So plums in the map room. We've got so many pheasants. Okay. Bridge beef, my favorite. Okay. Now these actually I also forget, these count as a side dish on their own. But I don't know if that means a whole lot to me right now. So bringing back the heart isn't too bad this time because this will... Well, I'm still going to need the sugar, I suppose, but cooking the roast beef, I think I can do that. Yeah, I can do that pretty much right away. That'll give me dripping if I want the game chips. I deserved a little quiet time. Alright, so based on what we have... Take the beef here. Roast a beef joint. A dish with edge, forge, heart, and scale. I guess the other thing is that if I'm going to do these invitations, again with the time that I have, I probably want to... Like, I'm probably going to want to write the invitations before too long as well. So, I'm feeling less confident that I'm going to be able to do the full Salon, but that doesn't mean I should give up. Okay, this time I'm going to restore the shaft, and I'm going to use it to open up a sack of vegetables. Hopefully we get a golden marrow. But yeah, the next thing I should do for tomorrow is probably work out my letter plans. Frasier's going to be the most challenging, I suspect. Okay, so dripping. Not an appetizing name, but use it to make rich leek or onion soup with or without a knife. Or with or without a knife, use dripping to exalt potatoes to their full potential. Our fathers of old were robust, stout, and strong, and kept open house with good cheer all day long, which made their plump tenants rejoice in this song. Oh, the roast beef of old England, and old English roast beef. Okay, so I'm going to put that on the chair for now. We're obviously going to need to clear out all the flowers, but... The Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Olopoli left Strathcoyne's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoyne. For 4 years, since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Olopoli served as Strathcoyne's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, "I still think Fraser's intentions are good, certainly he agrees, but I have never understood the final goal of his investigations. He was never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear this dream of eyes. We have agreed to part almost amicably." Olopoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of his journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of the better ones, In the Marshes of Night, suggests he visited the site of the old Lake Fucinus near Otuccio. So, cheerful ditty. I've gained more understanding of straight... That's not right. Cheerful ditty. A rousing little rhythm. So I'm going to make a separate shelf for cheerful ditties. We will add strings and songs to the collection. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. And I think probably this is a decent enough place to call it. I know more or less we've got the last little bit of daylight and that's the end, but I am conscious of the hour. I wanted to actually stop promptly at the half-hour mark, but it felt a little silly to end here. Well, here's last thing I'll do. We'll wait the 18 seconds and we'll see what we get for our marrows. So I didn't really do a good job of explaining cooking. I'll give a quick nope, I can't with this. So I'll make sure I do that for the next episode. In the case of the beef joint, it was pretty easy. I just needed to use a cooking station. I needed an ingredient and an element of the soul. And I could... that was a simple recipe, so essentially apply heat and you get roast beef. In the case of roast beef, you also wind up with dripping, which can allow you to make other things later. We'll use that with the game chips when I can. But again, the challenge is I don't know whether or not we're going to be able to have everything that we need ready in time for the end of the season. I hope so, but we'll see. Another leaf on the Tree of Wisdom. Strings and songs, the harmonies of the lower skies are here reproduced. So, a bit of a rush day, but overall not a bad one. We did get a new lesson. We have one more book to handle, and I guess if we are forced to, we can probably open up another room. Yeah, I mean, I can open up another room with the heart. The only thing is that now that I have a couple of ideas in terms of recipes that I want to make, I do also want to make sure that I'm using my time wisely. But something for us to handle for the rest of the week. Again, thank you everybody for watching. I know this has been a rough week as far as videos are concerned, but I will do my best to right this ship and make sure that next week is a little bit more organized. Until then, have a good night. Or morning. Whatever time you're watching. See you later.